I have all my pieces laid out now. I don't need to do any sanding on the plywood because it's already nice and smooth at 220. If you have any pencil marks, any rough edges, or anything, you can sand those down. My frames look pretty good. I kind of felt them. They feel nice and even. If they did feel a little uneven, you could sand them down. But I have my two frames glued up. My bottom piece cut out, my back piece, okay, my two sides. So it should look like this here in a second. So what I'm gonna do before I glue it in is I'm gonna dry fit it all, okay, to make sure that everything is sitting in here nice and even. It all fits. It looks good. I'm really checking these sides to make sure that my pieces aren't too big, okay? If they were too big, you wanna push them towards the front, okay? Maybe if it's just a hair too big, you could always come in and hand plane it down a little bit. So since all my pieces look good, I'm gonna grab a bottle of glue. I have my safety glasses because I'm gonna nail these in place. So I have the 18 gauge nail gun, okay, and it's got just some like 1¼ inch nails in there. And I also have my staple gun, okay. The staple gun just has some half-inch nails in there, or staples. Okay, so we'll use the staple gun for the back side when we do that. So I'm gonna put in a little bit of glue in here, making sure that it's touching the bottom. And make sure you put these pieces in correctly. Okay, do not accidentally put a frame in your bottom. The top frame doesn't exactly sit in there perfectly because it doesn't really have anything to hold it in. So you will have to be a little careful with that one. Again, making sure it's nice and flat on this back side. I have my rabbet here, so this is going to be my back side. So I'm going to have to kind of hold this piece together while I do this top piece. Might be able to get it to stay in place just while I do this. Okay, so this is what I found is the easiest way is to assemble it like this first. We'll nail it and then we'll flip it over, nail the other side. It does help to do this with a friend. Okay, it's gonna be a little tricky, I think, for me to do this alone. But I'm gonna give it a whirl and hopefully my pieces don't fall out. Alright. So it looks pretty good so far. Pieces are kind of sitting there. Slowly push them in. And I'm going to just put in 3 nails. So I put in 1 nail in the back, 1 nail in the front, and now I can kind of see how they're lined up. Put 1 in the middle. I'm going to do that all the way around. Take really good care of where you're putting these nails because you don't want a nail to shoot through the bottom and then you gotta fix that up. Again, make sure that piece is sitting there. Careful where your finger is too. Okay, my thumb right here, these nails can kind of skip out on you. So don't put your thumb or your fingers right here when you're using the nail gun. So 3 nails there. Again, this is the tricky part. Flip it over. I'm gonna kind of squeeze it in as I'm doing this. Okay, so now that I got that, again, now this is my front side. Make sure my back side is lined up. It's sticking out just a hair here, so I'm gonna adjust it before I nail it in. So you can see it's sticking out just a little bit here. It's better that it's sticking out in the front than in the back, because in the back, I'm gonna run into issues with putting my actual back piece on. Okay. Sometimes you can kind of slam it into place a little bit. That looks pretty good, actually. I think my top just got kind of shifted a little, just skewed. Sometimes you can take a mallet or a hammer that down. Now, it's really important that you get your back piece on right away, because the back piece is going to keep it nice and square. If you run out of time, okay, do not leave your project like this, because if your project is shifted a little, it might not be square. Okay, like if I don't want to do it, but if it skews a little, your whole project's going to wobble. So always make sure that you get your back piece on. Whichever side of the plywood that you like the best, put that inside, okay? Because it doesn't really matter what's going to be up against the wall, right? You want this to look nice, so when you open the cabinet, you know, you might see it. So I'm going to put it this way. Now I'm not going to put a lot of glue when I do this step. And the back doesn't need a ton of glue. Okay, I'm just going to put, it's not going to go that low. And I'm not going to put any glue on this middle strip. The reason is that if I put my back piece on here and I have to shift it a little, it's gonna rub glue all over this middle piece, and you're gonna see that, you know, when you open your cabinet, or you might see it, I guess, when you open your cabinet. So I like that as my inside. I'm gonna put that up against top. And this piece looks pretty snug, actually, which is perfect. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch over to my staple gun. If I just use my nail gun, okay, I'll kind of show you. It holds it down, but the nails actually shoot, because they're so small, they shoot right through this piece because it's only a 1/4 inch piece of wood. So I'm gonna switch over to my staples. I'm just gonna put, I don't know, 2 staples, hold everything in. Okay, I'm not even gonna try to get the staples in the middle there. I'll be fine. It's not worth missing and then seeing a hole in your project. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 staples in there total. sorry, 10. So then that's where your project is. The next step is gonna be to trim this out. So we'll cut the trim next, we'll trim it out, and then we'll build our top, our drawer, and our door.